What's up YouTube? What's up Lake Nation? In today's video I just want to discuss the LA Laker and the LA Clipper rivalry and which team do I think is better going into the 2018 season. Now before I get into this video, let me give you guys a question of the day. As we all know, the free agency period is time to make moves, time to sign players, time to trade for players. Which team in the whole NBA do you think has made the best moves? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Now, before I get into this video, the way I'm going to break it down is I'm going to talk about the team roster, and at the end I'll conclude to which team is better. Now, the LA Clippers have sustained a level of winning at least 50 games the last 4 or 5 years, and once they signed Chris Paul, they really changed that narrative of which team was better in LA. And I think for the last 3-4 years they've been the better team between the Lakers and Clippers. Now, their level of winning didn't necessarily translate to winning in the playoffs. They've been bumped out of the first, second round so many times, and and it wasn't necessarily because of the level of play, but because of injuries to Chris Paul or Blake Griffin, and that just hurt their chances. And then the move to trade Chris Paul to the Rockets didn't necessarily surprise me. I think it was time for them to blow it up, and They lost Chris Paul, so they lose a guy that could put up 20 and 10, was a lead defender, was their leader, was their best player, and now they're left with a couple of really nice players, but I just don't think they have. I think they dropped off in talent. Now, you got Patrick Beverley, who's if not a better at the same level defensively as Chris Paul, but he's not the passer Chris Paul is. He's not the scorer Chris Paul is. So you have a drop off at point guard. Then you sign you bring in Lou Williams, who Laker fans know who he is. This is a guy that's a great scorer, a guy that could score buckets in a limited amount of time, and I think he's gonna really help out that team. And then they traded for Danilo Gallinari, which to me, I mean, I see why they traded for him. I think they still want to be relevant, but to me it's kind of a head scratcher. I mean, to me it's you're far too late. I mean, if you look at this Clipper team, how they've played in their roster, they've always lacked an elite small forward. I mean, they've had guys like Matt Barnes, Paul Pierce, Wesley Johnson, Mbata Moute, Ryan Gomes. They've had so many small forwards the last 4 or 5 years, and they've never had that consistent small forward that could put in 15-20 points a night. And they finally get one in Danilo Gallinari, but I think it's just far too late now. And looking at this roster, I mean, I think it's a solid team, but I just don't think they mesh together. And what I mean by that is just you don't have that guy that's gonna be a pass first type point guard like Chris Paul. I mean, you have Patrick Beverley, but he was more of an off ball kind of point guard in Houston. You have Lou Williams, but he's a scorer. You have Danilo Gallinari, who's a scorer. And you look at this Clipper roster, and their best passer is Blake Griffin. So Blake Griffin's gonna be forced to score more, pass more, and he's gonna be asked to do a lot more. So with that being said, he's probably gonna have a really good year this year. But the level of talent to me, I think has dropped off. And you didn't just lose Chris Paul; you lost J.J. Redick, who's a great scorer, great shooter. You also you lost Jamal Crawford, who's been one of the best 6th man of the years the last couple years, and has been one of their better players. So with that being said, this Clipper team, I think, is going to win around 40, maybe 50 games, but they certainly have a level of drop-off in talent. Now, going over to the Lakers side of the ball, you have Lonzo Ball, who a lot of people crucified because he had one bad game in the Summer League. And I get it. I mean, if you have one bad game against talent that if you have one bad game against guys that a couple of the guys in the summer league are gonna be starters, but most of them are gonna either be in the D League fighting for a roster spot or be coming off the bench. And if you have a bad game in the summer league, people are gonna they're gonna criticize you. But he had a great bounce back game. He had a triple double, and I think he's a baller, man. I think he's already gonna be better than D'Angelo Russell. I mean, I think one of the things D'Angelo Russell was lacking was his ability to attack the rim, and watching yesterday's game, you just see him cut to the basket and then just dunk it, and that's something D'Angelo Russell could never do. So I think he's gonna be a great player. And then at shooting guard, I'm not sure who they're gonna bring in. I mean, I think you have either Jordan Clarkson, who I think is better suited to come off the bench, and then you have Corey Brew, who's gonna be their shooting guard. And, this guy at 6'9", he's athletic. I think he could be a really solid defender at times, and he's gonna be I think he's gonna be their shooting guard. If not, they'll probably bring in somebody from free agency, or we'll see how that pans out. And then you also have Brandon Ingram at the small forward. You have Julius Randle, who if he doesn't have a breakout year, he's not going to be back with the Lakers next year. And then you have Brook Lopez. And I think if as far as starters, I think the Clippers have better starting unit. But then you look at the Lakers, bench players, and you have Zubac, Lance, Larry Nance, Lou Williams, Jordan Clarkson. So you gotta give it to them for the in terms of who has a better bench. Now to conclude my video, I still think the Clippers have a better collective talent. They have a more talent, and as far as starters are concerned, and they have a couple bench players if they're able to retain Maurice Space and Brandon Bass. They also have guys like Wesley Johnson. They have Rivers. But with that being said, I still think the Clippers are a better team, and I'm just gonna leave it at that, just because we haven't seen how these teams have played with all their new players, all their new acquisitions. But I still do believe that the Clippers have a better pool of talent. With that being said, let me know what you guys see in the comment section below. Give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, guys, and have a good one.